So guys, you can see I'm in this beautiful location and you can see my Sultan. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about my Sultan. It's not a feedback, it's more of an experience sharing. So because it's been almost 1 year that I have been riding my Sultan and my BMW G310 GS. I have done about 13,000 kilometers on that, and that's a fair bit of experience to comment on any bike, I guess. I have had a lot of other bikes in the past. So, in fact, I had a Yamaha FZ250, I had a CBR 250. Of course, I have been hovering in the 250, 300, 400cc range. I had a Domina 400. And I can tell you why I have kept this bike so long. Because I am infamous, or rather famous, in my workplace and among my friends for changing bikes every 3 or 4 months, or 6 months, or 8 months. But this has been quite a long term. 1 year, 13,000 kilometers. Mostly I've been selling off my bikes about 4,000, 5,000 kilometers before I get bored of them. But this is doing pretty well, and I think I'm going to keep it for quite some time more. I'll tell you why exactly. So everything is not great. Of course, there are cons for this bike, but I'll tell you what's great. And what better place than to shoot a feedback video in such a lovely location. You just see the location, guys. Unbelievable. And it's quite breezy, little bit of a kind of a semi-chilly kind of a weather. And that's a road that leads you to Cafe Coffee Day, and that's where I'm headed after this. But well, coming back to the point, the first thing which I like about this bike and why I have kept it for such a long term is that the ride quality. I'll tell you guys, I don't think there is any bike currently on the Indian market that offers you such a plush ride quality. I used to have some kind of a pain in my back. I had a lumbar spine kind of some kind of a disc degeneration. But it's not serious. But I used to ride a Meteor 350 before this, and the short suspension travel and the hard suspension, actually, because it was short, it was low, the suspension was hard because otherwise it will bottom out. So I think the bike was made like that. So that's the reason I used to get the back pain over there. But with this bike, everything is absolutely gone. I've done 700 kilometers in a day. Let me tell you, I've been to Uti and back in the night, and not even an iota of pain in the back. That's unbelievable. I can tell you, if you want to have a comfortable ride, this is the bike to go for currently in the market. It might be a little expensive considering right now the options that you have in the market, the Speed 400, the Harley Davidson X440, and once again the KTM Duke 390, ADV 390. Those are basically bikes that will probably appear to offer you better value. But there is something about this bike, something about its character, something about its ride quality, something about the soft, gentle purr that you know. It's not a huge, loud, shrieking sound, but you find a very nice tone between 4,000 to 6,000 RPM. That's the sweet spot for this bike, I would say. Below that, of course, there are some single-cylinder vibrations. It appears as if the engine is vibey. It's not vibey. A lot of people say it's vibey. I think it's the character of the engine. So it's not that vibey, but of course, between 4,000 to 6,000 RPM, you will really love the ride. And between around 6,000 RPM, you'll probably do about 100, 110 km per hour. That's a beautiful speed to keep in, and the safe speed to keep on Indian roads, I would say. You can do about 130. I have done about 150, even 155, 60. But those are not sane speeds on Indian roads, and especially on small bikes like this, because they have got limited electronics. The electronics don't really fully cover you, so you have to be careful. You should not cross about 110, 120 cruising speed on the highways. And this bike can do it very well. That's all I can say. Well, and what else do I like about the bike? Of course, it's tall, so you have to get used to it. But once you get used to it, you'll never go back to a bike that has a low seating and that's kind of closer to the ground, because this will give you the ground clearance will give you the kind of confidence to go on this kind of roads. So you can see the road that has taken me to this place. It's not exactly perfect. There are undulations, there are stones, there are cobblestones everywhere. But this bike will not even let you feel anything, that you are actually not going on a plush tarmac, you're actually going on a broken off-road. And unless the road is very, very bad, you will really not feel it. The ride quality is so good. And I think, why do you ride a bike for? You ride a bike for enjoying nature, and if there is a bone jarring kind of vibration that or the shockers are sending across all the vibrations to your back every time, I don't think you are going to enjoy the ride. To enjoy the ride, the first and foremost criteria is that bike should be smooth, less vibes, and of course the ride quality has to be good. Otherwise, how you are going to enjoy the ride? So that's what I can say is very, very good about this bike. On the con side, well, I don't have too many cons on this side, other than the fact that probably it's a little expensive, but I don't think so. It's about once in a year, compared to the other bikes in the similar category that you have to service, once in 6 months. So that's a fairly long service interval. So my first service I spent about 6,000 rupees. In my second service it was about 9,000. But if you divide it by two, so every 6 months you will probably spend 4,500 rupees. That's fair enough. I think any bike of this category will, you have to spend that kind of money. That's one of the things. Probably, they can bring down the cost of service. The other thing is, of course, the lack of service centers. That's the biggest thing that worries me. So I had my uh, times of trouble with this bike. Let me tell you when and how it was, and how I kind of it was, of course, serviced very well. But let me tell you the story. So, guys, I am here at CCD. Let me tell you the story about the troubles I faced with my bike. So you can see it's a big brother beside my Sultan, the G1250 GS, and well, let me tell you the story now. And what a day, because we had the G310 GS, my Sultan, and we have seen the big brother GS1250, and now we can also see the GS850. Well, that's kind of my next bike as per my plans, if everything goes fine. So we have all the GS series over here, standing right here, CCD, Kolar, on this Saturday morning. Well, let me tell you the cons of this bike and the troubles I had faced with this bike during my last 1 year. So I wouldn't say it's so much of a con. You might not have faced it, or you may not face it if you buy the bike, but I had to go through the trouble, and let me share my experience with you. So it was about 4,500 kilometers that I had done on my bike, and then suddenly one day the bike wouldn't start in the morning. Fortunately, I was in my home in the heart of Bangalore, and there was not a problem. I had an RSA. I called up the RSA guys. They towed the bike away, and they told me that they have replaced the battery. I said, why? They said, no problem, sir, because it's within the warranty period, so we are replacing it for free. Fine. But then again, it happened after another 4,500 kilometers, about 9,500 kilometers, I faced the same problem. So again, the bike couldn't start. I was traveling, once again, I was in the heart of Bangalore, traveling through one of the roads, and it was juttering and stuttering, and then suddenly I went to the service center. They said, you have to leave the bike. And again, next day, they said that we have changed the battery again. There's a battery problem. So I guess there is a battery problem with BMW bikes. I don't know if there's with the it also is the same case with 850 and the 1250, but I've heard so. I've got a feedback that they have some battery issues. And this time the service center guys said that BMW, we have changed to an Excite battery this time, which is an Indian maker, because the bike originally used to come with the BMW batteries, and they were not quite great, and they were not suited to the Indian conditions. Well, that's a big problem, because if I had faced this issue in one of the travels that I take place, long distance travels, and it was in the midst of wilderness, then it would be really a big problem for me. So I hope they take care of it. Otherwise, I had a pretty good experience, as I say, with my bike, and I will recommend anyone to go for this bike. Yes, you have to pay a little premium, especially with the new range of 350 to 400 cc bikes that have come in. Probably it may not look as a very good value proposition, but if you want to go for it just for the right quality and nothing else. Yeah, and I'm not so much in for the brand, but some people will try it for the brand value. But The ride quality is amazing, guys. That's all I can say.